Good afternoon. It's time for our monthly financial update. I know you're excited to hear where we are financially. I'm excited because February was a tremendous month. Great things are happening at the church. We're continuing to meet in person, and the people coming are growing each week. We had a series of visioning meetings where we invited people to come and share what they felt God was calling us to do and to be. We have confirmation class continues to meet and head towards confirmation. New members, we baptized people. Just great things are happening at the church. And the month of February was a strong stewardship month as well. And so let me share some of those numbers with you and let you know what's going on, starting with our report through February. So let's get that going. So the top line there is the month of February. You have the actual versus the budget. You also see across the top actual 2020, give you some sense of what happened in February before the pandemic as a comparison. And the good news is that folks are being very generous with their pledges. We budgeted about $87,000 to receive in pledges in February. We received close to $130,000, a 33% increase. And actually our unpledged, that is the offering plate, people who come to worship, we budgeted to be about half of last year before the pandemic. And in February, within $1,300. So just super appreciative of that generosity and for your support of God's kingdom and the sharing of God's word across our community and world through our church. Thank you. Also, you'll see there other revenues, 212,000 versus 200,000. Other revenues is preschool income. Preschools are doing well. They're in the black. Other ministries like Brain Fitness, the grants we receive, money coming across from the trustees for building projects is kind of the catch-all other revenues. End result, we expect it to be about $330,000 in income in February. We actually want it being $382,000 in income. And so again, we are so very grateful. It's actually very close to what we did actually in February 2020. So very, very thankful. In terms of that, on top of that, we are underspending. And you can see from this, both in the total ministries and total other expenses, we expected to spend about $400,000 in February in this year, leaving a deficit of about $65,000. February is traditionally a lower income month for the church in the ebb and flows. December would be very strong, February would be much weaker. And in reality, what we wound up being is $32,000 ahead in the black rather than, so a swing of almost $97,000 from where we expected to be at this time. That's very, very good. And again, thank you so very much for your generosity. In terms of the year picture, year to date, that's January and February. Again, we see ourselves ahead in pledges and those that have been so helpful in helping us plan. $250,000 of actual pledge money versus close to $180,000. Unpledged is a little farther off. January is a little farther gap. Net result being that we are about $97,000 ahead in our income than we expected to be through the first 2 months. And again, that's from the very strong February. We continue to underspend. This will not always be the case, but we underspent in January and in February, so that rather than being $6,000 in the red through the end of 2 months as we expected or budgeted for, we're actually $182,000 in the black, about $190,000 swing in where we expected to be. And again, that has to do with your support and your generosity. Now, we're not out of the woods yet because of that $182,000, about $100,000 is underspending. And we will not always underspend as we head into the summer and things begin to open up more. There'll be increased expenses, facility expenses, ministry expenses, staffing expenses, and so forth. So that number will dwindle. Also, part of this is, a large part is through people prepaying their pledge. And we're grateful for that, but we know that that will even out as the year goes forward. And so thank you, and continue to ask about ways that you can be generous and ways that we can be good stewards of that generosity, and just give thanks to God for what God is doing. Now, another piece just to update you on is our pledging campaign. Pledging is important. It's an important planning tool for you and for the church. In terms of us individually, it allows us to work on our budget and to be intentional about what we give and what we feel God is calling us to give, spend time in prayer with it, and to reflect on it and what we're doing as part of our spiritual journey, as opposed to just kind of an impulsive thing. It also helps the church plan what they can hopefully expect. Now, pledges are not set in concrete. We know that things happen in life. We know that pandemics come. And so there's always the opportunity to call and say, you know what, something changed in my life, or I need to reevaluate. And there's really no questions asked. But in the meantime, pledging helps the church do its planning and what it can reasonably expect for that year. And that directly impacts the living out of its vision and goals. And so we're grateful for those who have pledged. You can still participate in that by going online or by calling the church office. We'd be happy to help you with that. We set a goal last year of having 300 pledging units this year. We received about 238, about 79% of our goal in terms of number, and an amount about 88%, a goal of $1.4 million in pledging income. We're about 1.245 in that. That is about 94 in terms of dollar amount, about 94% of our pledging budget. And why is that different? Why is the number different between the goal and the budget amount? Well, remember, we have different sources of income, and some are unpledged and some are pledged. And so we'd like to get more and more folks pledging to help plan, help them grow in their own planning. And so that number can flex a bit, but we actually budgeted 1.3. So we're close, we're getting closer. And again, we are so grateful for your support and your participation. Just one last word about Easter this Sunday. As I film this, it's Maundy, Thursday. We're getting ready for a wonderful service tonight in person, but on Sunday, we will be virtual. We've actually pre-filmed a sunrise service with Pastor Rachel, and then I led the preaching in the 9 o'clock contemporary and 11 o'clock traditional service. And folks, a couple of folks have called and asked us why we're doing it virtually rather than in person. And the short answer is safety and not wanting to be put in the position of having to tell people they can't come. If we follow the protocols and the safety procedures of distancing and masks, we can have a limited number of people in the sanctuary, a far less number than we normally would get on Easter. And so we decided actually over a month ago that we would film it. We'd be in person for Maundy, Thursday. We'd be in person for Stations of the Cross. We'd be in person the week after Easter. But for this particular day, we'll be together virtually. We appreciate your patience with this. I believe it'll be the last Easter like this, and it'll be unique. But we'll be with you online and in spirit, and we invite you to come back and join us the following Sunday in person. Is Confirmation Sunday. This is a high and holy day. So thank you for your patience. God bless you, and God be with you this Easter.